You are now about to witness the awesome, crushing might of yes. Round number 279, my friends. I am your host, Eugene S. And we're going to talk about UFC on Fox 23. And another sneaky glimpse behind the ASEAN curtain. By which I mean Wizard of ASEAN. Not the place where I make my daily employ, ASEAN. All in due time. But first, Stigmata. Calling of the Just. The record is called Calling of the Just. The band is called Stigmata. And this song is called Intro All of Nothing. And it, beyond a shadow of a doubt, sets a tone for my week in the way that none other does. Very specifically, the line that Bob Riley is about to sing. Sing along with me. You know it well at this point. I'm on my way back to nowhere. Could not see so clear, but I'm taking a real good look at you. I'm taking a real good look at your face. So being paid back in full, always nothing. All right, and my phone's about to die. Yeah, and yeah, of course, we're high production value, baby. I play it off of the phone. There you go. See, I actually own it. I didn't steal it. Stigmata, calling it just. I was at a restaurant the other day, and some young lad who was busboying the table goes, "Oh, a suplex." And I was like, "What's that supposed to mean? Were you trying to fucking chump me out in front of my friends? Get over here, you prick!" And I smashed him in the head with a glass. No, I didn't do that. I go, "Oh, yo, you're such a strapping young man. You should come and train with us sometime." That was me channeling my inner Vincent Price. Anyway, listen, this is round number 279. I'm your host, Eugene S. Robinson. I'm going to say it at the top of the hour just to get it out of the way. If you are, or you know anyone in Northern California, on February 10th at this club in the Mission called The Chapel, we're going to be doing we're going to do a live Sex with Eugene, which could mean just about anything, except it's based on this column, this sex column I do for Ozzy. And I got guests on stage. We got porn stuff. We got everything. We got anything you could want, we're gonna have. And it's gonna be, I got my Ed McMahon, I got my Doc Severinsen in place. I got 4 guests on the show. I got intro, we got people, they're goodies, sponsored by Trojan. Yes, baby. Actually, not even just sponsored by Trojan, sponsored by Magnum. So if you are in Northern California, February 10th at around 7:30. No, it's it's early, but it goes from 7:30 to about 10. Got a mixer from 7:30 to 8. There's a quiz. Look at this motherfucker. Look at this. Look at him. Look at him. Look. Oh, hey boy. Yeah. Hey, say hi. Literally, that's his all-time record. We're like 4 minutes into the show, and he has to poop. And now he's sitting right here having gas because suddenly the sound of my voice in the show, it's now like Pavlovian, the tie-in. Knuckle up, poop, poop, knuckle up. I guess it works that way for everybody. But this is precisely the kind of thing where the quiz and texting me comes in handy. It doesn't get you a ticket. Tickets are only like $12. Don't try to, let's not squabble. Let's not haggle over the ticket price. But it does get you VIP. So you text me, you take the quiz. And this quiz is tough because it's been long standing to have it be an Oxbow thing, which is a music event. It's a different type thing. This is going to be like on stage, live comedy, talk show type deal. But the difference in this quiz, it's going to be harder. For example, only the super knuckleheads will know why I say Eugene S. I mean, that is my first name and my middle initial. However, given that twist, that intonation, you got to know it came from somewhere. Some of you might remember. It ties into the fight book. So that's the kind of question I'm going to give on the quiz. So don't even call if you don't think you can. Don't even text if you think you can't hack it. But if you think you can hack it, text. This is for listeners of the show. Usually those long-standing is for fighters, fight fans, and people who listen to the show. This is you're probably only going to pass this test if you're an ardent listener of the show. Anyway, that's February 10th. If you know somebody in San Francisco or you're going to be in San Francisco, some of you have been texting me already. I know you're coming. Show up. Sit up close. The only reason I say that is because the reason why I started doing the standing offer for all fighters and fight fans is because these clubs don't have bouncers anymore. I learned my lesson from the show we played in Carlisle. There's a picture of it on my Instagram account where I'm about to beat this guy to death. Like it's like minutes before. I'm not even minutes. It's literally about 10 seconds before I jump into the pit and just start to go. And somebody, this guy from Suriname who's a fighter, took care of it for me. I was like, whoa, hey, this is A-okay. And at the very least, even if the fighter doesn't take care of it for me, he's there to tweet it out later, the pictures of me taking care of it. So that is my commercial at the top of the hour. But right now, I want to talk about UFC number 279, and we're just going to start off with the glimpse behind the curtain. We're going to start with the glimpse behind the curtain. So you start watching this right now. This is multiple hour thing on Fox. It starts on it bounces from Fox Sports to Fox Sports 1. Now I'm sort of getting into the rhythm of the thing. But lo and behold, I turn it on, and the first thing I see is, oh, who is this? Tracy Morgan. Oh, who is this? Ice Cube and some nondescript white guy talking about the UFC, and it's a promotional tie-in for their movie Fist Fight. And on the cusp of it, Ice Cube and his Cube Cinema, he's got a company. He's got his own company. Just signed like a multi-million-dollar deal with a big Chinese investor. God damn him. Okay, sorry. Man, what I gotta go through. Anyway, so so you don't understand when I months ago when I talked about it, it's like if you're a fighter, you need to shut the fuck up and let the big boys work, because stuff is happening here that it'll make yesterday look like 100 years ago. You understand what I'm saying? Because it's what the hand, it's a hand that gives and the hand that takes. They're two hands. We're talking about high-level sausage trading. Lots of plates with sausages on them, and people making deals. Like, for example, I've been trying to, like, in a half-assed way, find this text. I'll just show it to you. Well, first of all, we understand that Anderson Silva came up with an idea. Anderson Silva came up with an idea, and that idea was bought off on by Netflix. So they produced some original content vis-a-vis a movie for Netflix from Anderson Silva. He's like, man, I just came up with an idea, and there they were. Oh, there they were. Interesting. They just were there. They just were there, huh? They just happened to be there. Oh, I'm watching my favorite TV show. Got my popcorn, got my beer. It's called Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Oh, Donald Cerrone is on it with Paul Felder. Paul Felder, who had a one-time Don't Care, who became a Care, is on Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Oh, along with Cub Swanson and the bald one. Interesting. What a strange series. What a confusing happenstance of events. Ice Cube, Tracy Morgan, Cub Swanson, Donald Cerrone, Paul Felder, Anderson Silva. Do you understand where the fuck you are? You're in the jungle, baby. You're gonna die. No, it's WME time, and this is not. Look, you know, one of the things that Steve Jobs did that I thought that was kind of interesting before the iPhone and the iPad and the iPod and all that kind of shit. He decided that he wanted to really control the App Store. He didn't want it to be full of garbage. I call it the MySpace effect. That, you know, people go, what destroyed MySpace? Maybe it was Rupert Murdoch buying in, or maybe it was that the powers that be got their money, and then they let it turn into a garbage scow. I don't need show announcements from guys in rural Pennsylvania. I'm not going to make it to your show, man. I live in Northern California. That's just, I'm not going to make it. You know, and I'm not going to buy your EP, and I'm not going to download your song either. Because if you'd known anything about me, you would have known that I'm not into, say, madrigals or barbershop quartet music. I mean, MySpace had all this information. Information doesn't equal knowledge in this instance. Friendster, which I thought should have been huge, early version of Facebook, dropped the ball as well. Again, information doesn't equal knowledge, and knowledge doesn't equal understanding. They blew it. If you were a fighter in the UFC at this point, what I said months ago is what I'm saying again. Hold your fucking fire, because good things can come your way. Now, there's been, the jury's out on whether T. Wood, good things will come T. Wood's way, but for complaining about racism in regards to him being the champion. It could be a smart move on his time, because the time is right. It could be, I mean, this is now tri-level chess. This is now Princess Bride shit, right? It could be something that he was hustled into doing, or hustled. WME doesn't hustle. They suggest, you know, you should go out there and let people know how you feel. It's part of developing your brand, your personality. Because in the age of Oscars So White, at least it's known that they have African-American champs. Yeah, and he's complaining about the old UFC. Dude was in Straight Outta Compton. How did he get that? Who reps him? You can't tell the players without a scorecard anymore. And if you don't think it has anything to do with this civil war, this war between the states, between CAA and WME, you're crazy. Crazy. But like I said, you got to sit tight, because good things are going to come. I mean, you know, we're as we move closer to having agnosticism as being a kind of a general MO, and it's very easy, you know. People go, oh, don't you say, oh, you don't know the South. Because look, there's a book called The Hierarchy of Hell. In this book, The Hierarchy of Hell, they talk about what happened to popular generalized conceptions of hell, and why people went from believing in it until generally people don't believe in it in modern times. You know, even super religious people don't actually believe that if you dig down that there's a place underground where, you know, demons and pitchforks. And they said one of the reasons why, the claim that she made, I think the writer was a woman, she made, was that nobody could conceive of a crime that was punishable by eternity. So I give this a strike. I give this a tip of the hat to civil justice, in that, you know, I mean, in the olden times, you stoned somebody, then it was life in prison. Now people can't even conceive of a crime that you should be punished forever for. Even one that presumably robs someone of their life and liberty or pursuit of happiness forever, like murder. Oh, well, why? So interesting development. But in this instance, with this civil war between WME and CAA, the fact that they're fighting doesn't mean anything. It's like, I'm going to give you $1 million. No, I'm going to give you $1 million. No, I'm going to give you $1 million. I'm going to give you $1 million. I mean, unlike the Democrats and Republicans in America, who are essentially struggling over an idea that will better benefit citizens of America, and they can't really decide who those citizens who benefit should be. CAA and WME are pretty much fighting on the same side of the street. And that's for entertainment dollars. And you're going to see these guys cross-collateralized through, I said it before and I'm saying it now, through TV shows, through promotional appearances. It's not like showing up at the Verizon store on the Sunday afternoon and signing autographs again, or GNC or some shit, other places that you find fighters. No. We're talking to guys who put stuff in development. You know, if you are, you know, Dan Hardy, friend of Knuckle Up, Dan Hardy, fighter, he's an art student. And there's that Norwegian cat who I put in the fight book. You know, in Norway, MMA was illegal for a long time. And so he I can't remember his name off the top of my head. He decided to do it as an art gallery, as an art piece, as a performance piece in an art gallery. So you would buy tickets to see this performance piece in the art gallery. But if you don't think that these guys have got some shit, like they say in LA, in development, you're crazy. You are crazy. And something that we saw more in this fight than we've seen in a long time. Well, that was a great fight. What kind of matchups are you looking for next? You didn't really see some guys saying, well, I don't care, whatever the UFC wants to put in front of me. You did have guys say shit that I don't, smiling Sam Alvey. Yeah, I'll take this Jonathan. Who the fuck is Jonathan, man? Well, he didn't say really Chad Marshall, this 40-year-old fighter. I think that's who he said. I'm sorry. And then the cat before him as well said, who do you want to fight? And he was like, I'd like to fight Bobson Robinson. The fuck is Bobson Robinson? Nobody. Hey, you know what? You're just making this shit up. Why I want to fight that guy? I think, you know, why don't you pick a name? But at least, you know, the WME has got them. Look, make my job easier. As an editor at large, I can tell you that people pitch me stuff. You do know that listeners of this show have published stuff at Ozzy, right? Tweeting me ideas. That's a good idea. I like the writing. Said, write it up. Dude has got 2 pieces. Well, they're sitting on his second piece because they think it's kind of mean to Hillary. I guess you didn't know that, Mr. D. Sorry, I meant to tell you. So I'm working double time. Half my job is convincing people that your ideas are good. But at least one of his pieces got it. Which means I put cash in your pocket. This is a show that pays. What can I say? So anyway, all of this creeping behind the curtain is indicated to me that you, for example, I'm breaking the order here. Aljamain Sterling. Some of you gave me a hard time. Oh, the guy loses one fight and he's a git. And I picked him to win this fight. And he didn't win this fight. And the audience was booing like crazy. And they both fought a slack fight. But his team is behind him in a way that you haven't seen his team behind anybody. And I'm talking about Sarah. Got a cute nickname from Aljo. And, you know, Chris Weidman is like, hey, yo, hey, you know, I used to be, you know, I got a fight coming up, you know, right? Hey, when are you guys gonna train me? And who was the cat? The cat, Chris Collier Green's guy who said, man, I got, or no, Al Iaquinta, I gotta fucking eat. I gotta eat. Fuck you guys. Let me get my real estate license. And you know what? You know what the WME overlords are saying? Bye, bye. Can't put everybody in commercials. Can't look at everybody's spec deals. Can't look at everybody's. I got something in development, man. I'm thinking about doing. You know what? The mafia. You ever see that Get Shorty? John Travolta plays this mafia guy who wants to make movies. You know how many guys who are in the mob actually are working in Hollywood? Who do you think the mob created Las Vegas? You think they just left that shit behind? I tell you, I was at Steve Wynn's brother, Kenny Wynn's wedding, and sitting at a table with Paul Anka and Priscilla Presley, and Stephen Stills and David Crosby performing, and these normal folks are there, and they said, "Oh, the Wynn seems so nice." I can't imagine they had anything to do with the mafia. I almost choked on my caviar. Yes, caviar. However, I'm bundled up like this, wearing my poncho, because when a man with a 45 meets a man with a rifle, the man with the rifle is a dead man. I almost choked on my caviar. They think that the mob just walked away. And Hollywood was created by Jews who kept moving further west, which is strange that Hitler loved American movies so much, even though he knew that they were a Jewish creation. I guess he overlooked it. Like who was it? Reinhard Heydrich at one point said, "We all have our favorite Jews," and got the Nazis in 23 minutes. So you got. Where was I? No, okay, all right. So you have developmental issues. If you've got stuff that could play, now's the time. Now's the time. They are looking. They are looking, and if you've got something, so like the mafia, the early Jews were involved in Vegas with the Italians and the mafia, and also created Hollywood as they moved west. And there was mafia about these cats. You know how many guys who were in the mob? I tell you, the Sex with Eugene live event show on February 10th in San Francisco. My Ed McMahon, I don't want to tell any tales out of school. Guy used to be in the mob. Whatever, Jack. It's entertainment, Hollywood. People change. Things change. So if you are working for WME, and you have to remember what WME's business is. You are a fighter. You are an entertainer. And if you've got anything on the ball at all, forget about calling out a clever pick. As an editor, like I say, I take the pitches from those of you who make them easy for me. The pitch comes along with a headline. It comes along with a subhead. It comes along with a why you should care. And the guy does due diligence, goes to Google, makes sure it hasn't been written about 10 million times, sends me a photo. That shit's likely to get published. And it fits into one of the 8 sections at Ozzy because the guy's been paying attention to reads. You got to make my life easier. If you call out Bob Hobinson as a guy to fight, you're not making my life easier. If I'm Sean Shelby, also known as Keith, I'm there rubbing my head. Okay, yeah, thanks. Come, just sit down. Just sit down. Sit the fuck down, will you? I got work to do. You got to make it easy for them. You got to make it easy for them. So you got stuff in development, bring it. TV shows, partnerships. There's nothing that you could say that if it's a good idea, I'm stealing it. If it's a bad idea, I'm ignoring you. If it's a mediocre idea, I'm giving it to a junior agent. But ideas are the currency of the land. And if you haven't peeked behind the curtain and understand it, it's not about fucking fighting. And all the cats who are like, oh, I'm just going to work. It's a sport. I'm going to work my way up. They've all changed their tune. Gegard Mousasi. My pick of the night, George Masvidal. If you got any scintilla of personality, now's the time. And some guys are rising to the occasion, and some guys are going to be sitting at home in their underwear unhappy. Rory McDonald had something, squandered something. At home, on the TV, unhappy. Or in the stands next to Mike Goldberg, fucking unhappy. But anyway, I want to get to this because I got some philosophical stuff at the end of the show. So let's just go top of I picked Shevchenko against Pena, and I'd say Pena did pretty well. She just hustle mugged, you know, Valentina for the first bit of time. I'm not going to give you space to get off the kicks. I'm not going to give you space to get off the punches. I figure I'm at least as strong as you. Going to keep you up back against the cage, sneaking shots, and then maybe I'll score some points this way and drag this shit on for fucking 5 rounds and hope for a. But I guarantee you, Pena didn't see that armbar coming. Guarantee it did not. Is she ready for the next step up? Is Valentina? Well, they bring in Amanda Nunes, and it's like despite Amanda Nunes' desire to destroy herself by her very public claims about desiring to quit soon, I do not think Valentina is going to make that easier for her, which is a reverse way of saying I do not believe Valentina quite has what it takes. I don't believe she has what it takes to deal with the Nunes quite yet, but she's there and is they're calling your number, you got to go. Reminds me how I almost drowned once when I was like 7 years old before I could swim. It's on a long line in New Jersey to jump off of a diving board. And everybody said, can you jump off the diving board? I was like, yeah, everybody jump off the diving board. Fuck you. And I look at the edge of the diving board and I look at the edge of the pool. And I was like, I could probably get in the water and like get close to I jump close to the wall and make it the rest of the way. And they're all like kind of waiting for me to chicken out. And they're like, you sure? And I'm like, yeah. And I get up on the board and I'm like, man, this is a bad idea. But you know what? I'm no coward. And I jump and I land like close to the wall, but not enough. And I just go glub, 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 go down. And I remember there's this incredible sense of peace. You find out who you are in moments of great panic. And in tragedies with guys surrounding me with knives or pulling guns on me, it's been the same sort of preternatural calm. Like the guy in Inglourious Basterds. He goes, look, we don't want anybody losing their heads out there. He's like, do I look like I'm close to losing my head? No. So I was I floated down to the bottom and I was just hanging out. And my plan was, okay, when my feet touch the bottom, I'm going to push off. I'm going to rise to the top. I'm not going to panic. Then somebody pulled me out. And much like now, when I'm caught doing something embarrassing or unseemly, I just got to go, like nothing ever happened and walk about my business. So, but that was, I don't think that Valentina is going to get beyond Nunes, though it'll be an interesting fight. And one side note, you should notice how these packages are developing. That if you haven't figured it out, there's a fundamental difference in the packages that they're being made now versus a year ago. I can't, as an astute media observer, I can't explain it to you any better than I've just explained it to you. Take a package from a year or 2 years ago and compare it to the packages on Valentina. She's in the barn in Denver. And first of all, can I also say no more fights in Denver? No more fights. The general slackitude of this entire card could single-handedly be chalked up to the fucking altitude. Like the guy, like Unsakao said, it's real. Goddamn right, it's real. And that's why I don't have a lot of fights there. You got to get there like George Masvidal did, like a month before. A week is not enough. I'm telling you from personal experience, it's not enough. Mile high, don't do it. Otherwise, you see cards that people are booing. But people in Denver live in Denver. So they got the red blood cell count that happens. And they're also booing with their asses in the seats. Boo! 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 Fuck that. Fuck you. The altitude is no good. It's not a place conducive. Like, they don't have a lot of MMA fights from Abu Dhabi either, right? It's super hot there. It just doesn't make sense. You're not going to get the best offering. But anyway, look at the difference in the packages between Valentina is now and some of the packages before. There's deft stuff going on. Subtle, sublime, and really nice. Really nice. Because the WME is thinking 3 chess moves ahead, and they know that people are watching the show, but it's not a springboard for the kind of audience where you find growth deltas. You're not going to find people who are steadfastly still watching the Ultimate Fighter TV show who are fence sitters. They're hardcores. They're not casuals. I don't believe so. I don't believe. It's almost 20 years the show's been going. Who's doing this? So going backwards through time, since not all these are a lot of don't cares. Donald Cerrone and George Masvidal. I picked Valentina, so I got that right. And I picked George Masvidal. I told you. And those of you who were texting me during the fight, like, dude gets kind of wiped at the end. I'm not. I like Herb Dean. I know Herb Dean. I've socialized with Herb Dean. You know, according to my Norwegian female fighters, he's sexy and sophisticated. I'm not saying he's made strange calls before, but I'm not saying waving off George Masvidal at the end of the first round makes my fucking spider sense go off. It just doesn't. It doesn't. It was legitimate. Were you gonna stop? And what? What? It was. I mean, that's the kind of thing where how have you said like fucking Stephen Curry, Stephen Curry? Is it Stephen or Stephen? The Curry kid at the Warriors throws that 51-yard whatever, 51-yard basket. Did the buzzer start sounding before you? You know, in basketball, they don't even do that. They give you they just extend it right beyond that. So it's not like if the buzzer buzzes in the air and then you sink a 51-yard basket a 3-pointer that they take it away. Same with MMA. You know, dude is getting this slop beaten out of him right as the buzzer rings. Give him some. Hey, he earned it. Give him. Unless he's like starched, his legs and the arms are in the air, and he's like, no. He earned it. Let him come back. I'm not saying there was any collusion, but George Masvidal, first of all, he's got the punk rock ethos. He comes in not like Josh Koscheck, where he came in and people were booing him. He's like, "Why are you booing me?" And he actually seems like it bothers him. You're a heel. You're a bad guy. That's the role. Embrace it. George Masvidal comes into Denver, dude's hometown, and they fucking boo him. He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna shit on your birthday cake, and it's gonna be great." And you know what? He showed up a month early. This is a guy who's living right. This is a guy who understands that everything that Brian Stan and John Anik said about him was exactly right. It's a put up or shut up moment for George Masvidal, who's been bumping around the top of the bottom for a long time. And by that, I mean 11, 12, 13, 14, always in the game. His nickname is Game Bread. Always in the game, but never the game. Took a chance against Donald Cerrone. But Donald Cerrone was at the Steel Panther show last night. Or I'm sorry, the night before last, Friday night. And he was filled with bold talk about knocking dude out, and he was the favorite to win. And some of us actually advised you to pick George Masvidal. My quote to Kid Nate on the Care Don't Care preview was, "I don't fuck care, George Masvidal." And George Masvidal fucked them up. I mean, it wasn't even like, oh, it's close. I mean, the thing is, you know, Cerrone has made himself indispensable in the same way that I typically go into every job. I do the High John the Conqueror route with every job. I work my ass off and then figure there's nobody else who's going to do it. No sane person is going to do it. They might want to fire me. But hey, the only jobs I've gotten fired from are jobs where I haven't done that for whatever reason. I was fired from, what was I fired from? Live Sound Magazine. I was managing editor. I lasted 6 months. The guy did it in his basement. In his house in San Francisco. I have to sit there with him and smell his feet. And that worked out really well. To smell his feet and watch him scream at his wife. And that worked out really well because then I ended up going to work for the biggest player in the space. It wasn't specifically a Live Sound magazine. It was EQ magazine. So I got to see the guy at all the shows, and you know, I was putting out a Real magazine that was winning awards, and it was really nice. I go, hey, how are things going down there in the basement? Yeah. But okay, man, hey, I'm saying that, but I fully deserve to get fired. I'm not a managing editor, you know. He's like, where's my spreadsheet? For you gonna put together a spreadsheet? Motherfucker, I'm not putting together a spreadsheet. I got the issue in my head. As an editor-in-chief, you can do that. As a managing editor, you got to be like a drill sergeant. So Donald Cerrone comes in. He goes to the Steel Panther show, fucking around, not taking dude seriously. And George Masvidal has got his finger up in the air, and he's paying attention to stuff. And he comes in, and you know, usually the guy's been Oleg Toktarov, comes in, you know, kind of deadpan. Now he's coming in, he's making faces, he's dancing, and he's coming out. He's like, hey, I'm gonna run this division. It's like, man, I'm dude's living right. He got the memo. He's listening to Knuckle Up again. Or at least, at the very least, If I Did It. Now's the time to fucking play ball. Do not be complaining. Do not, you know, yeah, the bald one is there, but the bald one is just there. Donald Cerrone is good. He's not hurt by this loss. He'll fight anybody, anywhere. He's a name. He's got a certain constituency. People like him. They put asses in the seats. He's not, you know, is he going to hold the belt? I don't think so. He is A-level, apex level fucking gatekeeper. I'm sorry. He may get it, but he's not holding it. Why? Because I'm pretty sure he fights too often, and I'm pretty sure he doesn't have clocks at home that run backwards. Simple. But I was glad to see George Masvidal put it away, and you know, I'm gonna quote Marcellus Wallace: "Pride hurts, man." Hanging out at Steel Panther on Friday night when you got to fight on Saturday. Yeah. Dude wants your lunch and your dinner and your breakfast. He wants what you got. And Masvidal played it was, don't you know? I'm offering $200,000. $200,000. Put it down. Get me my belt. $200,000, baby. Money talks. There's certain elements of McGee's act that you can rock without being McGee. You don't have to have personality to make a big claim. We'll get to McGee in a bit. Andrei Arlovsky, how tastes my pee-pee? Ngannou against Francis Ngannou. This is not much of a fight to talk about, right? This is not much of a fight. Not much of a fight at all to talk about. Now, I like Arlovsky because of how it tastes my pee-pee blast, which he asked a fighter who was dating some woman that he used to date. Yeah, taste my pee-pee. I know somebody who used the line, he was actually having sex with the dude's mother. And he was like, on Mother's Day, he told the guy, he's like, hey, you know, you got to call your mother today. You know, he's like, imagine you came out of her vagina and I came in it. So, man, you're going to fucking hell. He's like, hell doesn't exist. Haven't you read the book? No, that's an actual, it actually really happened. Man, you know, you're going to say to a 25-year-old kid whose mother you're sleeping with, that shit's fucking raw. No court in the world would have convicted the guy if he shot him right there. Yeah, I'm trying to change my friends. I need better friends. So George Masvidal has figured it out. Given his age, given the length of time he's been around, he's there, he's in, he's making the run. It'll be great to see what he does from now on. He sort of figured shit out, like he was on those pride rounds. He would fight like he was like got more time and that he was thinking about scorecards. Now he's not doing that. Now he's not doing that shit at all. Andrei Arlovsky, how there's my pee-pee. Great line, but not a great fight. And clearly the dude is crested, man. He's crested. And you've seen what you'll see as we move lower on this card. You'll see something happening that clearly speaks of somebody taking seriously this whole idea of fighter development. Very, very much so, because guys like Arlovsky are not going to be allowed to stick around to stink up the joint, right? He did what he was supposed to do, which was get some more wattage on the Cameroonian Ngannou, Francis Ngannou, who is really fucking charming. Okay, not Q rating charming, but just kind of in general charming. You know, don't expect that you'll find him in men's rooms grabbing people's penises, but you never know. Sad story about Brett Rogers. Dude should not be homeless. Thanks, Scott Coker. Well, it's not Coker's fault, but maybe, you know, I'm sure Scott Coker's not sleeping in men's rooms. He's got a house, at least, at the very least, you know. Anyway, so this is where the good stories. Where was I? Here we go. So Arlovsky. So I picked Ngannou to win, and he did. So if you're going backwards in the card, you think that Eugene S. Robinson is a fight-picking genius. But then things start to change, because we get right to going backwards in time. Alex Caceres and Jason Knight. I didn't pick Jason Knight to win. I picked Bruce Leroy to win. I think Kid Nate did as well. Part of it was a certain amount. Oh, God damn it. Jiu-jitsu is a terrible sport. I'm not picking my nose. I have a cut inside my nostril that goes from like about here to here. How did it happen? I don't know. So Jason Knight was not on our radar, despite the great record. You know, just wasn't on the radar. But Caceres was, and I'm not saying he didn't take him seriously. What I'm saying is that there was a certain slackitude to his fight. Not an incredible amount, but a certain amount that's significant enough for me to kind of want to blame it on the altitude. That's all. I'm just feeling a little bit of the altitude-y thing going on, and I love Bruce Leroy, Alex, but this was not his night. This was not his night. And dude is a southern boy, and usually, you know, you hear me complain about that cornball stuff. He says to Brian Stan, "Can I borrow the mic?" And he drops down to his knees and he's praying to Jesus and his Father. I got a great space and spot in my heart for Southern Gothic, courtesy of guys like Harry Cruz and even William Faulkner. So, you know, give me some Alabama anger, you know, dude, Mississippi, much like Steve Perry and my whole Journey, the band Journey riff. It's heartfelt expressions that they get me every time, man. I'm buying it 100%. If I think you really believe that shit, even though I think agnosticism, this gets into my later philosophical point, which I don't know I'm going to have the time to make. You know, your quality and your level of belief, it makes it a beautiful thing. You know, you got a healthy relationship with your father. I'm glad to be exposed to that, because I don't, so it's nice. So Jason Knight, it was a don't care. And I'm going to say, for me, he's moved to a care. I don't know if Kid Nate, what he's thinking about it. Not to any way diminish known associate Alex Caceres, because his brother was a friend of Knuckle Up and on the show. Eskimo brother that was on the show. But yeah, Jason Knight, you know, Southern man don't need you around anyhow. Yeah, I'm paying attention. I care. I picked incorrectly in this fight. Doesn't matter. I'm already 3 up. If you're going backwards, 1 down, don't mind. But of course, I picked Sam Alvey over Nate Marquardt, and I'm not taking it on the cuff for that. Unanimous decision, bullshit. I don't see it. I don't see it at all. And they asked Sam Alvey, who do you want to fight? And he's like, I'm going to fight Jed Marshall. I was like, just stop, man. That was a terrible fight. It was a terrible fight. The audience was booing. It was completely fucking horrible. These guys are both victimized by not preparing for the altitude. I guess, you know, if you don't get paid a lot, how the fuck are you going to sit there and say, I'm going to do my camp in Denver for a month? Hey, man, I got a job to get to. I got to be hanging around for a month. I got to look out for my wife and my kids. I can't be hanging out in Denver. Well, it showed. If I were either of these guys, I would pray to God that some kind of Jedi mind trick, or the Vulcan mind meld, or something that would, the spotless eternity of the meltless mind, or whatever the fuck that movie. Just, we should, like Godfather Part 3, the sooner we forget about that fight, the better. But now I'm 2 down because I did pick Nate. I thought Nate deserved to win. I could kind of disregard it, turn it to, you know, an ace. It's 11 or 1. It's 1 or 11. I don't know. I could kind of disregard it, but I don't think I shall. But it was a slack fight. And if you disagree with me, you're fucking crazy. All right. So then, where are we now? Asukao and Aljamain Sterling. This was also a slack fight. At least Asukao had the manitude to say, "Hey man, they're serious about this altitude. This has killed me." It was slack to it. I don't agree with the. I agree that it was a split decision. It was close. I don't see Aljamain Sterling winning it. I picked him to win, but I also called him a gift, therefore justifying at least a portion of my prediction. But I like how he's taking and borrowing and using, employing Johnny Boney Jonesian moves, but it doesn't play as well without the power. You know, I mean, I'm not so afraid of that lateral kick to the knee. Yeah, this is being thrown at me by a guy who's 6'3" and got all his power. I'm not worried. So, you know, I like that you're like kind of a student of styles. I think Sterling, you got to find your own spot. You know, I saw bits of Dominic Cruz. I saw bits of Johnny Boney Joni. You know, it's you, baby. It's you. You got to be you. Okay, so I'm bursting through because I want to get to this philosophical thing that if you've made this long, you might enjoy. Okay, so I didn't care about Bobby Nash versus Jingaling. I didn't care about it. Having watched the fight, I did enjoy Jingaling. Was manned. He manned it. Manned up, manned in, manned over, manned out. I like that. I did not think he was gonna win that against the over-enthusiastic and then probably subsequently doused by the altitude Bobby Nash. Okay, so didn't care about that one, but I enjoyed it. Did anybody move from a don't care to a care? Not really. Luis Enrique de Silva versus Jordan Johnson. Yeah, you know, nobody on this move from a care to don't care for me. Sorry. Unanimous decision. Whatever, dude. Okay. Alessio Di Chirico and Eric Spicely. Yes. Spicely, brown belt in jiu-jitsu, moved from a don't care to a care. Like the whole guy's act top to bottom. And the solid jiu-jitsu, really liked it. There was a San Jose Open today, IBJJF. I did not compete. I've been under the weather physically, and I'm still a little peeved about them not letting me do that thing at the Cow Palace. And I was like, fuck you guys. I'm not doing it. I'm not giving you $100 to fucking go hang out all day. But I was really kind of lost this weekend because they actually closed the school because they said, look, it's in San Jose, everybody should be there. I didn't go. But on the gi day, we kind of got slaughtered, the team did. And not completely. We got 1/3 place out of it. But on no gi day, we got did better. Got a bunch of first places, some second places. And but if you, I was geeking out with this whole jiu-jitsu thing, and Eric Spicer's jiu-jitsu was nice MMA jiu-jitsu, which is to say good jiu-jitsu. So anyway, Eric Spicely is the one don't care to a care, even though I didn't care about his fight going into it. Yeah, Alessio De Chirico from Rome, Italy. He's probably a celebrity in Rome, Italy. My Italian connections, I should have paid attention. I got interviewed by an Italian MMA magazine when I was in Rome. Challenged the editor to a role in the dressing room, which we did, and the magazine, strangely enough, has not come out. He's a blue belt and got savaged and tapped and didn't put the article out. What was that we were saying about self-defeating behaviors? I don't know. Anyway, Marcus Rogerio de Lima and Jeremy Kimball. Yeah, that was cool, but moved from don't care to care. No. And Eric Shelton and no, didn't move from don't care to care. JC Guerra and JC Gonzalez didn't move from don't care to care. So there we go. So I blasted through it. And I was going to talk about Bellator on Friday night, and then I watched some of it, and then I just decided to not talk about it because it made me feel bad, and we don't need to do that. But listen, I've come up with a theory, and I'd like to share it with you. And if you want MMA, there's a tie-in at the end. but I think I have like a few minutes now. I can get into it, and if you're not interested in esoterica, see you later. I'm okay with you going. I understand that. But I say, okay, all right, I got something for you. The place you are where you close your eyes. Not when you close your eyes, like if you close your eyes now and listen to the sound of my voice, and not where you close your eyes when, you know, you're rubbing your eyelids or some such thing, but the place you go when you go to sleep. You know, I'm not a strict materialist. This idea that consciousness is something that's, you know, it's bound up in the material. Okay, this is not conscious. You know, it is 100% material. It's objective. It's got objective substance, right? But it has no soul to it. It has no spark of consciousness, right? Nor does this. However, Popeye does. He has a spark of consciousness. So the place where we go to, where we dream. I've had dreams where 100 years disappeared like a minute. It exists outside of space, and it exists outside of time. You say it doesn't exist outside of space and time, Eugene, because it exists in your brain. I'm not entirely sure. I've been places. I'm not going to use the phrase out-of-body experience because I don't know what my body was insignificant at that point in time. Now, there's a friend of Knuckle Up who had a friend who committed suicide 2 Tuesdays ago. And I asked him, how do you know it was suicide? He goes, nobody takes this much heroin unless they intend to die. And she left a note. What did the note say? It said, goodbye. That's it. And he's like, you know, I can feel her. I go, he's torn up about it. And my attitude toward death has been very relaxed. Yes, I'm anxiety filled. The dying part is I find troubling, but the dead part, I don't know, when I was at the bottom of that pool that I started at the top of the hour talking about, it was very peaceful. Surrounded by guys on the Lower East Side in the bad old days with knives, about to be stabbed to death. That was very peaceful. Guns pulled on me, very peaceful. Bad places with bad people, bad things about to happen in a warehouse with a bunch of crates full of guns. You know, Julian Wong getting threatening. Look him up. Get type in the dude's name in Google. Not too many guys who shot a guy in the face twice, put him in a coma. The guy comes out of the coma, and it's like the movies. Julian's trying to get to the hospital to fucking kill him because the first thing he does when he comes out of the coma is say, Julian Wong shot me in the face. There's always an air of calm. Because you've heard geneticists make the joke about genes are just people's way, people are just genes' way of reproducing themselves, whereas we look at humans as being the reproductive elements, the objective reproductive elements. But geneticists turned around and said, no, humans are byproduct, secondary effect. Genes have to figure out a way to carry themselves on. They create people. In this way, I say consciousness is not a byproduct it's not a byproduct of biological chemical reactions. That exist when we close our eyes, and that exists in a functional way when we open our eyes. Well, I'm conscious now. I'm hungry. I might have to urinate. I'm a little thirsty. That's service stuff. You only use 10% of your brain. That's service stuff. My consciousness, my uber consciousness is napping right now. The element that's driven by the laws of thermodynamics is neither created nor destroyed. It's napping right now. And when I go to sleep tonight, when you go to sleep tonight, we will go to a place that's beyond space and time. You kill the carrier of that consciousness, the body, you kill it. Fire. flood, angry former husband. You kill that body. It's not like a light bulb when you pull a plug and it zzz. Look, I'm an agnostic. I'm not trying to get religious or weird on you. But I've been in the isolation tanks with a head full of, yeah, I've been in the isolation tanks. And I've been in the space. I've contacted people 6,000 miles away. I've walked into their minds. It sounds crazy, but it's not. Because some of you will wake up on Monday and say, hey, Jimmy, I had a dream about you. You walked into his mind. Call it a dream, call it whatever you want. You walked into his mind. The vehicle that carried you, you know, this consciousness is sitting in this primordial soup, this cosmic soup, just swimming around. And somehow these same, you know, genetic vessels, two of them get together and they create a rift that needs consciousness. And there you are. Jesus Christ. Here I am. And when this shell is absent, that consciousness will continue. How do I know? Well, I know something about the laws of thermodynamics. How do I know? Well, I mean, I'm not saying what you're looking for is personal identification. What you're looking for is subject continuity. So very specifically, what you'd be looking for is a sense of I and me continued beyond that place where I and me cease existing. And I don't know that you get that. I don't know that you get that. But I do know that what happens when I dream, that's eternal. Now, you know, Travis Bickle said it best. I think a person should be like other people instead of morbid self-attention. I've been without jujitsu on Saturday, Sunday, the self-attentions. They're not morbid though. They should be revivifying. In the same way that that's great. In the same way that WME has in subtle, sublime, but completely complex ways revived MMA. In ways that, look, if you got fighters who suddenly now can make real livings, you think they're complaining about fucking unions? Gives a shit if you can fight well, I mean, I'm an entertainer working for a fight entertainment company. Yeah, I'd like to fight. That's what I signed up for, but I could do TV commercials just as well. I can train and do TV commercials. Chris Lieben is somewhere, he would love to be doing TV commercials and train during the day. Doesn't give a shit about stepping in the octagon. I mean, that's A-level marketing, but you don't need to be there. Randy Couture hasn't been there for years, but he's making movies. So the question is, fundamentally, you alive, you dead, as long as the consciousness continues, does it make a difference? Fighters in the cage, out of the cage, fighting, movies, does it make a difference? One of the hashtags I like to use is BJJ for life. Say MMA for life. It's MMA lifestyle. That's what's being branded. That's what's being sold. That's what we're buying. Only the fantasy league guys are sitting there with like, oh, he's number 15, he's number 13. I mean, I dig the numbers too. I'm playing the numbers games too. But I'm not wedded to the numbers game. You know, when George Masvidal goes against Donald Cerrone, I'm there. Not just because he's a friend of Knuckle Up. Because not because he's whatever he was. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. 14 or 10 or 12, or his ranking. And Cerrone is what, 4? I wasn't 7. I wasn't paying attention to that. I was paying attention to the underlying narrative, the continuity of consciousness, the genes using human bodies to repopulate themselves. You understand where I'm getting? It's fucking esoteric. I'm sorry. No, I've not been taking drugs or drinking. They're stone cold sober. So that's a show. That is a show. Thank you for listening. This is Knuckle Up number 279. Got him. Got him. This is show number 279. I'm Eugene S. Robinson. Remember what I said about February 10th? We're going to end the show now before the yowling starts again. And we'll see you in a couple Tuesday night with If I Did It, and then a Care Don't Care preview later on the week. But anyway, we'll see you soon. Thanks for listening. And go down, scroll all the way down to the bottom of the article. I'll put the link to the newest thing that I think you should see on Ozzy. I think you'll dig it. Anyway, we'll see you soon. Don't do anything I wouldn't do. Look what you made me do!